Good day, everyone. Welcome. We were supposed to start by 10, but we needed to wait for a few people to join in before we begin. But since it's a minute to 10:10, so we'll start. Mr. Usman, welcome. I see you in the comment section. Welcome. Please do well to turn off your microphones and your videos once you join in. Yeah, 10:10. Okay. Sorry, hold on, guys. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second in our series of the Hillcrest Investors Education Program. This program is to basically create awareness on how to access BOI loan, which is targeted at the SMEs. We are Bank of Industry's Business Development Service Providers, also known as BOI BDSP. As we all know, SMEs experience funding challenges on how to access loan from commercial banks. So BOI has intervened to engage the BDSP to onboard SMEs in this regard. Today's webinar is a joint interaction of BOI, Hillcrest, and with SMEs to interact on how to access BOI loan. Before we begin, I would like to take us through the order of program. Yeah, first on the list is about Hillcrest. Sorry, hold on. First on the list is about Hillcrest and the BOI loan, / our opening remarks by Mr. Samuel Shonawo, the Chief Financial Officer of Hillcrest Capital Management. After which we delve into the business of the day by the business manager, Mr. Wachuku, business manager of BOI, the Ikeja Regional Office. Then after which we take in our question and answer session. We will use the chat room to coordinate that. Please do well to drop your questions in the chat room and we will answer after the business of the day. Then lastly, we'll take our vote of thanks by Mr. Chidiadi Uzo, the head marketing of Hillcrest Capital Management. Once again, thank you very much as you listen. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I want to appreciate this opportune moment set up for this interactive platform for Bank of Industry and various stakeholders. First, by introducing ourselves, we are Hillcrest Capital Management Limited and licensed by SEC to offer bespoke asset management and advisory services. We are also business development service provider for Bank of Industry. So just a brief cap of Bank of Industry once again. Bank of Industry Limited is the oldest and the largest development financial institution currently operating in Nigeria. They provide financial assistance for establishment of large, medium, and small projects. Now, as well as the expansion, diversification, and modernization of existing companies and the rehabilitation of the existing ones. Now, they also process access, they provide access to funds for SMEs and large enterprises by facilitating the entire process, right from the pre-loan application. Now, what are BOI focus? So the market focus are small, medium, and large enterprises, new or existing companies seeking expansion, modernization, or diversification. Credit-worthy promoters who will be required to prove their commitment to the project by contributing at least 25% of the project cost, excluding land. Now, borrowers whose management capability, financial situation, including availability of collateral and guarantee, character and reputation are incontrovertible. Clients with demonstrable ability to meet loan repayments, borrowers with no record of unpaid loans, to SY Development Finance Institution and other banks. So while I give this brief summary of BOI, I also want to thank everyone for taking their time to attend this interactive forum. Right now, I'll be handing over to Mr. Uche Nwanshuku, the State Manager of BOI, Ikeja region.
Okay, thank you so much, Samuel. Once again, welcome everyone. It looks like Mr. Samuel has already said almost everything BOI does, but I'll be sharing my screen. I have a brief presentation to make as to who we are at BOI, what we look for when we are appraising our customers, and how you can easily access our facilities. It's like the host disables screen sharing. Can you enable me to share my screen, please? The host, can you enable me to share my screen? I have a presentation.
Yes, you can go ahead.
All right.
Can you share the
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes. Okay, yes.
Okay. Can you still see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I hope everybody can see the screen.
Yes,
Okay.
please. Yes.
All right. The presentation is basically on how to assess SME loans from BOI and how to understand bank credit support. Like introduced earlier, my name is Uche Nwachukwu. I'm the state manager for Lagos State, Ikeja at Bank of Industry. Yeah, so today's presentation basically will cover four main things. I will quickly talk about the BOI, who we are at the BOI, what we do, sectors we support, and all that. They will look at who are actually SMEs to see how a bit more suitable you are to identifying yourself as an SME, or if you fall into any other group. They will look at what do banks basically look for while appraising your loan, not just BOI. Any commercial bank, what do they look out for when they're appraising your loan, so that you'll be able to package your application a bit better. And finally, we'll look at accessing BOI SME loans. So about the Bank of Industry, like explained earlier, we are the vision of being Africa's leading development finance institution. Yeah, and basically the mission is to transform Nigeria's industrial sector by providing financial and business support services. Ideally, our mandate, like explained earlier by Mr. Samuel, is providing financial assistance and establishment of large, medium, small projects, as well as expansion, diversification, and modernization of existing enterprises and rehabilitation of existing ones. So our mandate is quite diverse. We range from large enterprises to medium enterprises to small enterprises, and recently even to those we call micro enterprises. So we are going to get to them. There is any form of business or any size of facility that you're looking for, there is likelihood that BOI is going to be able to finance that for you. So what are our focus sectors? Again, we deal in a whole lot of sectors. It will be difficult for you to not see the exact sector you are playing at in this list. We are focused on agro and food processing, oil and gas, solid minerals, healthcare and petrochemicals, engineering and technology, creative industry, renewable energy, education, supply chain, even trade. Yeah. So, and our groups at the head office are also structured specifically along these lines just for specialization. So, no matter what area you think your business is focused on, we are likely to have a product that will suit you or not. Now, we also have some other tailor-made projects, basically specially uh, prepared facilities for certain industries, yeah, that have relatively very low interest rates. Yeah, first we have the Nigerian Content Intervention Fund, which is basically for all those that play in the oil and gas industry. And by playing in oil and gas industry, we don't mean those that are exploring or those that are betting ships or other. No matter the play, even if you are a small player in the industry, dealing with filling stations, LPG, all those kind of things, you can fall under this Nigerian Content Intervention Fund. And it's as high as uh, the whole cap fund value is $200 million, so it's large. And I can tell you for free that we've not even made a dent on the money yet. We also have the Agro Mechanization Fund, basically for agri equipment. Yeah, it's being supported by NISA. The fund value is 10 billion, and again, we've not made a dent on that. These are monies that have been provided by, either by the bank or the CBN or federal government or some individuals. They just earmarked them for special purposes and they say people come and collect at low interest rates. We have the Food and Agro Processing Fund, 15 billion. We have the Dangote Fund. Dangote actually provided funds and said that if you're playing at several sectors that act as inputs towards most of its uh, core industries, that you're able to access such financing. It's 5 billion. We have the Artisanal and Small Scale Miners Fund that is being supported by the Ministry of Solid Minerals as well, 2.5 billion. It's almost untouched. Nobody's accessing those. We have the Knowledge Fund for those that are in the entertainment industry. We have the Fashion and Beauty Fund, those that are in fashion. So we have a lot of these specially created funds that are available besides you even being in any of the specific industries that wants to access financing from BOI. So again, just like Hillcrest is doing now, Hillcrest is a BDSP. BDSP means Business Development Service Providers. To make things easier, BDSPs were actually created in 2014 by BOI to help customers package facilities easier. We understand that the process can be daunting for a few people and confusing, and maybe you won't know how to properly assemble all your documents. So we created a situation whereby we have agents or middlemen or consultants who you go to, they help you to package the loan as BOI will want it and submit to the BOI office. Yeah, so Hillcrest is one of our leading BDSPs in Lagos, and they are the people hosting this forum. So irrespective of the challenges you might be having in trying to access the financing, when you come to Hillcrest, they should be able to help you package your facility more appropriately, irrespective of the amount of loan you are trying to collect from BOI. We're not just in Lagos, we're present in actually 30 states now. And so across all the geopolitical regions, and in Lagos in particular, our head office is in Lagos, our state office is in Ikeja, but we have recently opened another office in Lekki just to make sure we're closer to the customer. So we have offices across the country. So irrespective of where you are, you should be able to access any of our offices to help provide you funding. So if you're wondering exactly why BOI, people keep saying BOI, what's so different between BOI and what other banks are exactly doing? Now, there are quite a few things because BOI has a development strategy targets and basically for achieving industrialization and promoting as well as supporting entrepreneurs. What we mean is that we give relatively lower interest rates than other banks. You go to a bank now to access financing, you might be getting interest rates as high as 25%. I'm sure probably there's no bank that give you probably below 22% if you want to access financing. That's per annum. You go to microfinance banks, they will tell you, okay, they want to give you 3 or 4% per month. 4% per month means 48% per annum. That's almost 50%. What it actually means is that if you collect 1 million from the microfinance bank, within 2 years, they are paying back exactly the same amount you collected. They are paying back another 1 million, so you would have paid back 2 million. The interest rate is crazy. But at BOI, we have funds that are as low as 5%. And most of our funds are actually below 10%. Most of our funds are single digit interest rates financing. That's why BOI is here to support SMEs. We focus on innovative financing solutions, mostly on MSMEs, sustainability and social impact, as well as job creation. For this, we have our credit divisions into 3 main divisions. Like I spoke earlier, there is the micro enterprises. We refer to micro enterprises or micro loans as loans below 10 million. So if you're taking a loan below 10 million, it's called a micro loan. Then between 10 million and 1 billion, it's called SME loan. Now note that SME encompasses 2 groups, actually small and medium. So between 10 million and 1 billion is an SME loan. Then above 1 billion is a large enterprise loan. So there are different requirements for each of these 3 loans. Yeah, that's why they've been classified this way. So during the course of this program, we'll be focusing mostly on how to access micro loans and how to access SME loans. When we get on how to access SME loans, we just have to take a look at who are SMEs and how are SMEs in Nigeria in the first place. Globally, SMEs have been noted to contribute as high as 55% of GDPs of nations, and they make up as high as 80% of employment in any country. In fact, MSMEs are kind of the bedrock of any economy. In Nigeria, we have over 37 million MSMEs. That's more than 99.9% micro enterprises actually. And MSMEs contribute to about 75% of total employment in Nigeria. I'm sure that should be closer to 80 to 85% now, 75% to be honest. Yeah, and one of the major issues for MSMEs in Nigeria is access or poor access to funding, which we all agree. That is why we are here, to understand how we can better access funding as an MSME instead of having to go through the hassles of either microfinance bank or commercial banks in Nigeria. Now, in Nigeria today, we have a population of 190 million, and 50% of those are aged between 18 and 35 years. That's a huge human capital base that either going to be looking for employment or either going to be self-employed. If they're going to be self-employed, that means they belong to the bulk of the MSMEs we are talking about. And total unemployment is about really now it's about 33%. So you can imagine the amount of our youth that are actually not doing anything, that if they're working, they should be in the MSMEs, or if they decide to take up some kind of trade or some kind of commerce themselves, they'll fall into this gap of MSMEs we're talking about. Yeah. So the main challenges of MSMEs actually include things like the highly unstructured nature of the businesses. For most parts, the MSMEs owners, they are not able to separate their businesses from the individual. And this causes quite a lot of issue. They are not even registered with CAC in the first place. So they are not what we call a separate legal entity to an extent. And by the time you're confusing personal finance with company finance, you can imagine how difficult it will be to keep tabs on if your company is doing well or not. Another issue is inadequate business records. It ties to what I talked earlier, not keeping business records, lack of credit history. In credit, usually we say it's better that you are borrowing and paying back than that you've never even borrowed before. And the worst is that you borrowed, you have not paid back. So between somebody that has never borrowed before and somebody that has consistently borrowed and paid back, a bank will more easily look to give somebody they know has a history of paying back than somebody that has not collected at all, because they don't know how the person is going to behave. So if you are going to be taking money from banks, make sure you are consistent with your repayments, especially given how the Nigerian financial industry is structured now, whereby if you take money from any bank, even if it's a microfinance bank, anywhere in Nigeria, and you are not paying back, you won't be able to access financing from any other bank in Nigeria, because any other financial institution you go to, they will just do a quick credit search and your name will come up there, only so bank, so they won't even give you. I know people that have come to access hundreds of millions at BOI. And when we did a search, you will see one small credit that are owing one bank or one micro finance bank or the other, who they have thought, okay, this bank, nothing that I'm going to do, this money is small, let me just leave. But because of that, we cannot give them any finance until they clear that loan that in another bank. So it's very important to have a good credit history. Another issue with most MSMEs is non-availability of collateral to help access financing from financial institutions. These are part of the things we'll be talking about going forward. Some other issues include things like lack of bankable loan application, high vulnerability of market fluctuation, lack of trained manpower and managerial skills, as well as increased exposure to high cost of doing business. Now, to get a bit more granular from records, MSMEs usually revolve around maybe those that are farmers or local producers or whatever content. So the main issues that also beguile the producers amongst MSMEs include things like relatively low production levels due to poor yields, yeah, disease prevalence for those that are maybe farming. Actually, you recall the time we had tomato Ebola that led to increase in prices of tomato because there was disease and scarcity of tomatoes. Another one is poor storage and handling practices leading to post-harvest losses. A key issue within our MSMEs is not being able to store or transport the products effectively, leading to more losses from products than those that are getting it to the market. Why am I delving into some of these things? Just to be able to inform the MSMEs some of the issues they might need handling and how they can be handling before we get to how they can access financing, because we cannot give you money and your money goes to waste anyway. So it's better we know that you understand the industry you play at, some of the issues, how to avoid the issues, and we're a bit more comfortable with giving you money going forward. There's also high cost of maintenance, weak enabling environment, difficulty in accessing affordable credit facilities. That's for the producers. The challenges for the processors are similar, yeah, because when processors are those that basically transform cassava to gari, you've processed it from cassava to gari, yeah. So, and one of the key issues is lack of fresh supply. If you don't have the cassava in the first place, what are you going to process? Nothing. Another issue is inadequacy of the machinery to use for the processing. There's also a bit of struggles and competition from those that import directly. Yeah, because Nigeria, we find out that for the most part, imported materials are cheaper than the ones we process locally. These are some of the challenges with processors. And for distributors, similar things, issue with storage, price increase due to exchange rates and foreign supply of key inputs. So this is just basically running quickly through the various aspects of the MSMEs. And for MSMEs to be successful, some of the critical success issues that must be dealt with include driving cost efficiency. Make sure you bootstrap properly, separate your personal finance from the company finance, and make sure you maintain good financial records. Customer service is very important in every business. It's not everybody that passes in front of your street, anybody that prices you anyhow, you insult the person can lead you to more customers. So have good customer service records. Then assemble a competent management team. It does not necessarily have to be a team. You also try to educate and improve yourself, like you are doing with this particular webinar and training. It's very important. My friend would always say that the difference between a rich and a poor man is information. It's very critical. I always try to make sure you're informed about going on in your industry and in your sector, and also try to deploy efficient systems and processes. So that's it, rounding up about SMEs really. Now we're getting a bit to the truth of the matter, which is accessing funds from banks, not just BOI, accessing funds from banks. What do banks actually require or look for in customers when they want to access financing? Yeah. So basically, I'm sure you must have heard of this before. They're called the 5 C's: character, capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions. We'll take each of them one by one, talk about it more deeply to see how they relate. Yeah. So in terms of character, what are banks looking for? First, financial institutions must believe that the entrepreneur, the MSME basically, is reliable and can be depended on to repay the loan. How do they ensure this? They are not owing any other person. Your credit history is clean. There are no issues. Background characteristics such as personal credit history, education, and work experience. Very important. Very important. And financial institutions also want business with people who are honest, ethical, and fair. Yeah. The next one is capacity. This involves an evaluation of the enterprise's ability to repay the loan. If you are doing a turnover of, let's say, 1 million naira per year, and are coming to ask for a loan of 10 million. You see, in as much as we understand growth and trying to help you grow, but you see that growth is too much from 1 million to 10 million. With 1 million to 2 million, we say, okay, we see reasonable growth. So you need to show capacity. So if you're already doing 10 million and you're coming for another 10 million, we say, yes, he's already doing turnover of this amount. So it makes sense. So we need to know that you're able to repay the loan, that you have the capacity for it. Yeah. So also, we would like to typically review prior financial records. That's why we ask you for your 1 year bank statements, and we'll ask for maybe accounts and other things. So we'll look and see how good you have been doing before and your the possibility that you're able to repay the loan. Next is capital. By capital, generally, most banks will not finance 100% of the cost of what you're looking for. You need to show interest and capacity. That's why for microloans in BOI, you'll be asked to make a 10% deposit for the amount of loan you're looking for. So if you want to collect 10 million, you show that you have 1 million at least. It's not the bank that provides the, the whole 10 million. The 1 million, we're not going to touch it. We don't fix it in the bank that you have access to. But you need to show us that you have the capacity before we disburse the 10 million to you. Most banks do like that. Then most financial institutions that are likely to risk its funds in a business whose owner has nothing to lose in the business. You understand the situation where, I mean, you have nothing to lose. We give you all the money, you might not pay a lot of attention to it. Then collateral, which is very important. Collateral in every loan situation, there's a high likelihood that you'll be asked to securitize the facility. Basically, what are you bringing to you to secure the loan? Commitment of a valuable asset, or maybe bank guarantee, or any other acceptable form of collateral. We'll talk about collateral later, but collateral is also a very important factor, one of the 5 C's of financing. You must have a way to secure the facility. There is no bank or nobody that will give you money without asking you for a way to secure it. It is not possible. And finally, conditions. By conditions, we mean, let's say, uh, farming season is only between January and March because of the weather, and you come in, let's say, November, or let's say July, August, asking for funds for farming. Yeah, you see, there's a problem. So we need to also scan the environment to make sure that the money you are looking for is being imputed in the right environment that is likely to generate the business. That's why we need to do an environmental scan, the country's economy, and if the industry you are currently playing in is an industry that is growing or likely to offer the required financing. So all in all, the banks expect you to be professional, reputable, possess a good credit history, sound and stable financial capacity, good capitalization, and adequate collateral. So what should you be doing now as an SME just to get ready for you to access financing. Number one, make sure your business is registered and pay all your statutory fees. It should not be owing tax and all those things. So register your business and pay all the fees. Two, keep your personal finances in order and have a clear business plan or elevator pitch. So have a clear plan, because any bank who wants to access funds, they also want to see your business plan or feasibility study to make sure that you've already thought out what you want to do. Thirdly, then ensure proper financial records. That's why we say that you should always separate your personal money from the business money. Avoid litigation, attend financial education seminars and workshops like we are doing now. Structure your business model, engage in co-funding activities, and actively build your network. Finally, we get to the crux of the matter, the heart of the issue, which is how to access BOI's SME loans. First, we'll start by defining our loans. We have, like I said, three broad classes of loans: micro loans, SME loans, and large enterprise loans. But within the micro and SME space, we've also classified it in three ways. So if you're looking for a loan of between 1 and 10 million, the security we are looking for is actually two guarantors. So we're not asking you to bring a building or a bank guarantee or some of the heavy lifting that is usually identified with accessing credit. This is why this product is quite popular with BOI, because we understand that most micro and SMEs, they don't have landed properties or credit history or anything that is relevant to give them some other type of security. So we ask that you bring two guarantors, two people that are well placed in the communities that will vouch for your character and say that, hey, if you don't pay this money, you can hold them responsible and they can repay. So if you're looking between 10 and 500 million, there are two sets of securities we ask for. First is the bank guarantee, a bank basically giving you a letter to give to BOI to say, if you default, we're going to pay on your behalf. The only way you're able to get this type of bank guarantee is if you've been making banking with those banks for a while and they know your credit history and your reputation and they know you have capacity to repay. So they'll do a bank guarantee. The second one is landed property in an acceptable location, usually within state capitals in Nigeria. That's for credit between 10 and 500 million. For any credit above 500 million, it must be a bank guarantee. We don't even accept property for it. So you must get a letter from a bank saying that if you default, they'll pay. Why do we do this? BOI is different from other commercial banks. For other commercial banks, even if they give you loan, they are still seeing your account. They are still holding your money. They see your cash flow. They see your business, your partners. So it's easy for them to know maybe when cash stops flowing into your account or when you start having issues. BOI, we're not like that. If we disburse, we don't see the money again. The only other time we see it is when you start repaying. So we can't even know when your ship is sinking. But the commercial banks, when they notice they are sinking, they'll probably seize all the money in your account first to make sure they mitigate their risk. But we have no clear picture. So only when you are repaying that we're seeing that. So we have to insist on only bank guarantee from the bank that you are using that we're going to disburse the funds to. Secondly, what are the requirements for BOI funding? So there are 5 key areas here. First is demographic and business proposal. So first you must have your formal application. Yeah. Then you must have completed the BOI questionnaire. Yeah. Then you have to have a copy of your ID card, also your CV and CV of your management team. Then you should have a business plan or feasibility report. Your accounts, you should be able to provide BVN and bank statements, business and sales records, as well as your audited account from a BOI accredited auditor for the past 3 years. That's for those that are above microcredit. Yeah. For legal purposes, you have a copy of your certificate of registration, your CSC documents, your tax clearance certificates, and all those on annual returns. Then for securitizing the loan, you should have either bank guarantee or the landed property, or for loans below 10 million, the notarized statement of net worth from 2 eligible guarantors. And other things we might ask you for include maybe contracts, contact details of the guarantors, valuation report of the property, then pro forma invoice of what you actually want to procure. Then you also provide passport photographs of the owner and the guarantors and all that. Amongst all this, what will BOI not do? BOI will not disburse cash to you just so that you are clear. So if you want to buy equipment, we are paying to the person you are buying from, he will give you the equipment. Yeah. Unless you are getting working capital financing. If it's asset financing, we are not giving you the cash. You bring the pro forma invoice from the person you want to buy the equipment from. When the person delivers the equipment to you, you pay the person. Secondly, we will not accept or demand bribe or inducement to facilitate your transaction. No. Any BOI staff that asks you for any sort of financing or payment to be able to facilitate your loan, please report to the closest BOI office. We'll not ask you for that. It's not possible. Third, we will not sell our form. It's not for it's not for sale. You can even download it free from the BOI website. Our form is not for sale. And finally, we will not delay your request once you have submitted all your relevant documents. Again, submit all relevant documents. Contrary to what people say, BOI form, they always waste. We don't waste time. You submit all your documents within 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, you are done. The problem is that people will submit application and now tell them they have these other documents to bring. They're not able to bring the document and they say you are wasting time. We're a government bank. We cannot process your financing unless you have got things like evidence of payment of tax. You have registered with CAC. It's not just once you submit application, we'll pay you. No, we have a checklist that you must provide all the things in the document before we're able to disburse the funds. And all these things are statutory, not as if they are difficult. If you have good business records and you're doing your business properly, you should be able to have all those records. How do you apply for these BOI loans? Mostly it's you can apply from BOI website. We have a link there. Other than that, you can walk into any BOI office and apply, or you can contact any of our accredited BDSPs, of which Hillcrest is one of them, and you can make your application through them. Again, like I said, loans are typically processed within 4 weeks of receiving all the required documentation from the customer. Thank you very much. I'll take any questions now if you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Uwanchukwu. Please, for those that have questions, you can just type them and send them to the chat where it will be attended to one after the other. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Uwanchukwu, for that great presentation again. In the absence of no questions from any of the participants, I think we can move ahead to take. Oh, okay. I think someone sent in a question. Okay. There's a question from Tunde Adele here. It says dollar-dominated credits, that's e.g. raw material purchase outside Nigeria. How long to get FX and at what rates?
Okay, for those that are purchasing equipment or working capital or raw material from abroad, for a start, microcredit, as in those below 10 million, we don't encourage that because of the fluctuation and changes in the exchange rate. You're encouraged to procure from those that are local. But for those that are doing SME credits, will be hundreds of millions or those above 10 million. It's actually your bank. Now it's easier since CBN has centralized the whole process. What happens is when your loan is approved and the bank gives you the bank guarantee, then the facility is disbursed to the bank, who will now be responsible for sourcing FX for you through the CBN.
Please ready for your closing remarks. Please ready for your closing. Ready for your closing remarks. Yes, please. I'll call on you now.
I don't know if you got that. So any other question?
All right. In the absence of no question, okay. Except for facilities below 500 million, where third-party collateral is used, how long does it typically take? I have been on one for 5 months. Is that what you? I don't know if you got that.
Yes, I got that. For facilities that you are using collateral, again, that's the issue with having a factor that is third party to BOI, because we have to verify and perfect the documents with land registry in Lagos State. And during COVID, they were even completely shut down. So it's not as if it was going, that it was slow, it was not even going at all. And now that they're back open, they're a bit slow. So the process is not us that holds it up. Once we get clearance and the document is perfected with land registry in Lagos State or any other state, typically smooth sailing like any other loan process within 4 weeks.
Mr. Wanchuku, I don't know if you are seeing this. There are some questions to attend to there.
Okay, so I thought you wanted to read them out, so I should just read an answer.
Let me do that. Someone
Okay.
was saying for lawyers perfected properties, say lawyers perfect properties faster. That's from Mr. Osman as a follow-up to the question of facilities below 500 million.
Yes, lawyer, BOI, not as if we go to the land registry to do the protection. No, we have lawyers. How we have BDSPs. We have lawyers that also do the protection. So it's lawyers that do it for us. It's not us.
Okay.
Okay, I think Tunde says,
Yeah, he said you don't encourage for 10 million naira. Your option of buying from third parties make cost of borrowing more expensive.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by buying from third parties. What you said is you buy locally. I mean, even if you are buying from abroad, that's still a third party. The issue is that if you are collecting less than 10 million, of which if you convert it to dollars, don't know how much it's going to be. But if there is a swift change in exchange rates, you don't have enough, what's the word for it, enough leeway to accommodate the change that might occur. And it becomes an issue. Like I said, we don't encourage, not that we don't do, but we, for the sake of everybody that is involved, it's better that even if you can find a large scale importer and buy from that person. Of course, it might be more expensive, but you believe me that with how exchange rate is going now, it will probably be cheaper for you in the long run than having to wait to get forex to import from a foreign country. I'm certain the exchange rate between now and last month would have been significant. The same thing between a month before that. So it's part of business. You have to put your markup on your cost, and whatever you are saving from the low interest rate will always help you to offset the cost. And Usman says, even verification of company registration with CAC took close to 2 months. Again, that's the issue with things that are beyond BOI, because CAC has stopped lawyers from entering inside. So for CAC, it's only them that can verify. The most we can do is again get our lawyers to go and engage CAC. It's only when the CAC search results are out that we can proceed. It's out of no fault of ours. It's how we have seen it because of the issues of the pandemic.
All right, let's say locally when it's available, or locally or not available, as in large importer wants to kill this small company.
Well, you can aggregate with other small companies to form a large company to import, but it is what it is. You have to deal within the boundaries of what you have been provided. You can't do beyond what is accessible to you. Today, what do you deal in? What's your your line of business, and what is it you're trying to buy from large and not successful?
I said paper tour.
So what exactly is it that you've been trying to buy from large?
Jumbo.
So is it jumbo paper towel you want to buy from large, or is that what you produce? Which one?
Yeah.
I think I'm familiar with your case, and
Okay, I don't know, Mr. Tunde, I don't know. Probably you could just unmute yourself and maybe you can just come online and talk. So it makes it effective and better that way.
Anyways, I think I'm familiar with his credit, and we've discussed it extensively. Hillcrest is the BDSP, if I'm correct. I think they should be Promatrix or so. Am I right? Yeah, we've had quite a lot of back and forth on this, and I mean, the situation is clear how we've explained. There are some problems that even BOI cannot solve. One is financing, but really, the other ones are little bit up to it. You can come to my office, it's fine. Yeah, you're always welcome.
Okay, Mr. Osman says, can we engage the BOI to help with credible distributors for products? We manufacture herbal seeds and baby food. Like, can BOI create linkages?
Usman, we're a development finance bank, and most times you know the role of banks. We cannot, we are not into value chain linkages of people like having access to distributors or all that. All we can do is if your distributors are looking for financing of sorts to help with optimizing the distribution of your products, they have to use the finance equipment or working capital to drive the process. Yeah, we can look at that, but not us creating or providing linkages to distributors for your products. No, we don't do that. I guess after this meeting, we'll discuss with Hillcrest to see a time that will be convenient between all of us to sit and meet. That's okay. So any other questions? If you have any questions on how to access BOI financing, anything you don't understand from the presentation, any help you need, you can reach out to us.
I guess in the absence of no question, we can move ahead to the next agenda on the list. And that's closing remark by Zochukwuchi Diadi. I believe if there are further questions or deliberations, they'll do well to reach out to Hillcrest, and we'll see how we can keep up from there. Mr. Ozo, please, we are waiting for your closing remark. Thank you very much, Mr. Nwachukwu.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Good morning once again. This has been a very interactive section. I want to use this opportunity to thank our moderator and also thank our BOI representative, Mr. Uche Nwachukwu, for bringing out time from his busy schedule to at least explain to us what it takes to access BOI loans. Most of our customers have been asking these questions, and I believe they have heard what it takes to access BOI loans. I also want to thank the staff and management of Hillcrest Capital for putting this together. At least our guests and the participants now know that BOI is not just a structure we see on Marina. There is more to BOI, and people can now visit the BDSPs to know more about BOI in case they don't want to go to BOI. So once again, thank you all for being a part of this, and God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We'll bring the meeting to a close.
Thank you very much.
talk well. Cannot be around this. Do this house my speech.
Please, Mr. Wachuku, you can release the host back now. Right, thanks. Yeah.